As government continues its drive to return the Guyana Sugar Corporation to a productive and viable entity, a key aspect is the critical retooling of the various operating estates. On Tuesday last, the Ministry of Agriculture presented to the corporation 3 long-reach excavators for use at the Albion Port Morant estate. That commissioning exercise was held at Guysuco's LBI head office. It is one of 11 such excavators presented to Guysuco thus far. Delivering the feature address at the simple ceremony, Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa underscored the importance of the occasion in relation to its significance in government's commitment to the revitalization of the sugar industry in Guyana.
We recognize the importance of Guysuco. That is why, to date, since assuming government, we have already given to Guysuco $10.5 billion budgetary support to improve Guysuco. We have heard the CEO just spoke about a number of improvements that have taken place over the last 12 months. And I want to join him to say that we have seen, over the years, we have seen a decline in Guysuco's performance, especially in production. And because of the decline in production and performance, the former government would have seen it fit to close some of the sugar estate, and at the same time, a number of persons, a number of employees from Guysuco were placed on the bread lines. Almost 7,000 employees, or over 7,000 employees, woke up one morning and realized that they did not have a job, or their jobs were taken away. And we made a pledge at that time and said that when we assume government, we will try to ensure that we reopen the closed sugar estate. Because as a government, we recognize the important role Guysuco is making or playing in these communities. We have seen communities across this country, especially in rural Guyana, die a sudden death with the closure of these sugar estates. So sugar is the primary activity of Guysuco. But then when you look at the social benefits that Guysuco brings to the community, that is very, very important.
The Agriculture Minister said it is in this context that government has been sparing no effort in ensuring that it breathes new life into the physical and administrative aspects of Guysuco's operations.
And as a government, we have a responsibility to ensure that, yes, Guysuco will be working with the team from Guysuco, first of all, to bring the cost of production down, to bring it to break-even point, and work further to make profit at the end of that. But the focus also, we have to ensure that we help these communities. And we have heard the CEO of Guysuco just said that those sugar workers, or some of those sugar workers who were dismissed and placed on the breadline, we have close to about 1,500 of them. 1,500 of them have already been re-employed. And I want to recommit the government position that we are working aggressively, working in a phased plan to reopen the closed sugar estate, so that these areas that people lost their jobs, people who would have displaced, you had families were broken up. You had the entire village economy die a sudden death. People had to migrate overseas, migrate to different parts of Guyana to earn a living for their family. We have seen in certain communities that when these estates were closed, things like utilities, things like telephone services were considered luxury because people didn't afford to pay their bills. People had to take out their children from school because they didn't have a job, they didn't have money to send their children to school.
Minister Mustafa stressed that the contributions of Guysuco and the sugar industry in general to Guyana's development must never be forgotten. He said its relevance today cannot be denied.
So Guysuco has been making a valuable contribution since the inception of our country's independence, since Booker's time, when we were not, when we didn't have independence, but they were making, Guysuco was making, or Booker's, or sugar was making a contribution to our country. Sugar has made the most contribution, and all the wealth that we have today is as a result of sugar, is as a result of Guysuco. Guysuco used to be this largest single employer of person in our country. Guysuco used to be the highest foreign exchange earner for us in this country. And I want to tell you that we are working aggressively to bring back Guysuco to the glory days. And these are the investment that I am making. And when we allocate and budget these sums, and we hear the naysayers and the doomsayers saying that we're putting money in a black hole, then if as a government we are trying to help the people of our country, and they are considering it, putting money in a black hole, then we'll continue to do that to help the people of our country. That's the government commitment. And over the last 12 months, we have seen a number of initiatives that the government has taken to ease the burden on the Guyanese people.
Speaking to the business model being pursued for Guysuco, the minister explained that a new value-added production capacity is being developed with an eye to the billion-dollar demand within the region.
We are looking to improve the production quality in Guysuco. We have started to do different forms of sugar, packaged sugar. What we are looking at now, we are looking at where Guyana can develop its sugar further, that there are opportunities in the Caribbean where Guyana could sell refined sugar. Over 200,000 tons of sugar we can sell annually right here in the Caribbean at lucrative prices. So we are working over time, and Guysuco is a very important institution, organization where we will continue to make critical investment in this critical sector. So over the last 12 months, we haven't seen the kind of investment that Guysuco needed prior to August of last year. Many estates were left to run down. You had critical parts that were needed in these estates. You had the cultivation needed, rehabilitation, and those things were left to be neglected. Now we are seeing once again investment in Guysuco. And we have to continue to invest in this critical sector. We have to ensure, as I said, improve production, but at the same time look at the social benefit that Guysuco brings to these communities, especially the rural communities. I just spoke about the employment issue, but when you look at social services, you look at recreational facilities, you look at health facilities, primary health care, all those things Guysuco normally take care of in the community. DNI, many areas in this country, especially on the East Coast and on the quarantine, Guysuco used to take care of DNI services, drainage and irrigation services. Today, the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority have to take in that critical execute those critical tasks. I am very optimistic that in the near future, Guysuco will once again shine. Guysuco will be where we want it to be. We have to have prudent management. I am glad that the CEO mentioned that they are cutting costs from the top here. They are cutting costs from the top, and we have to continue to cut costs where there are wastage and where we find that things are not working and we are expending sums that could be used to do critical work at the lower level. So these equipment here this afternoon, we have invested in 11 of these excavators. 3, I understand, will be going to Albion, 2 to Blairmont, and 1 each to the other estate, including those closed estates that we are trying to reopen. And we have 2 wheel type 1 that will be used around the cultivation area.
Through the many interventions of the government, Guysuco is set to earn some $10 billion from the sale of sugar this year and will, over the next 4 years, more than triple its earnings in this regard.